Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Velocity channel, where this is your bridge to financial freedom. Today we got some real numbers here, and we want to make sure that this particular person knows how to eliminate $48,000 at 21%, $959 each month. She's going to be eliminating it very quickly with very little money comparatively, okay? Before we get into how she's going to be doing that, please like, share, and subscribe so that everyone around the world can know the power of Velocity banking. $48,000 may not seem that much to you, but when 21% is tacked on, you know one thing, and that is the bank is getting more than I am placing towards my principal. I'm pretty sure you know that this number here, the $959 each month, is not going towards the principal. No. It's actually getting divided up. Now look, usually I go ahead and show you the amortization table because lenders will not show you that. You won't be seeing the amortization table without asking for it. Okay. However, you already know through the multitude of videos that we've done on projects such as these, how this is divided up. You know that what you do with this interest rate is you divide it by 12 and then you multiply it by the balance, and that will actually show you your interest rate each month. Does that make sense? So you already know how they're making money off of you, and that's why we have to place as our focus the principal balance. And that's why one of the best reasons and one of the best ways to pay this off is to do the chunking principle. Do you know what the chunking principle is? Okay, now you can use a savings account. You can use any banking financial tool. However, the line of credit has actually proved useful simply because, not because it's credit, but because it's cash flow control. Let me share with you what I mean. When you know that your minimum monthly payment is divided up into interest and principal, there can be no wiser method to use than the chunking principle to get rid of that gargantuan loan. It is a cash flow sucking loan. Now, we, in our example, are going to use a $10,000 line of credit at 20%, okay? And yours may be lower, yours may be higher. You're going to see a little bit. That doesn't mean a thing, okay? What does matter is getting rid of this principal as soon as possible. So what do we want to do with our line of credit of $10,000? We want to automatically take out this cash flow sucking loan, and we're going to do that by deploying our $10,000 in line of credit, our $10,000 in savings. You may have a lower amount, right? You may have a bigger amount. The key difference here is not to pay the way the banks want you to pay. Why? Because if you pay the way the banks want you to pay, you're going to end up 10 years paying $959 each and every month. I want to get it to you in less than 5. That's my goal here, okay? So if you're going to continue on with that $10,000 payment on the first month, you get rid of the $48,000. Now what do we have? What's 48 minus 10? $38K. Now, let me share with you why that's so important. Because this 21% is now eating off of $38K instead of $48,000. You see, the interest and the principal have a relationship. And the relationship is like this. The interest is the parasite, and the principal is the host. The bigger the principal, the bigger the interest. Like 21% is way different than 21% at $98K. Oh, your minimum monthly payment is going to be much more because it's going to interest. Does that make sense? 21% eating $58,000 is much more, right? And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that you are paying less and less each and every time. Does that make sense? 38K. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, CJ, wait a minute, but that's the line of credit. Or I'm out of my savings. What's next? This is next. Let's say you have a cash flow of $500. Okay? And we'll just make sure that you know what we're doing here. You have a balance of $10,000, remember? So what we're going to do is we're going to divide 10,000 by 500. What is that? That's 20 months, right? So 20 months is how long it will take to pay back that $10,000 on the line of credit, looking at your $500. Now, the best thing about this is that you don't have to make $5,000. You don't even have to make $4,000. Oh, it's so beautiful, guys. You just got to have a cash flow of $500. That means that you can have an income of $1,000 and have a cash flow, right, or expenses of $500. That'll leave you with a cash flow of $500. And that $500 will be paying off that $10,000 in 20 months. What will you do at the end of that 20 months? Remember what the line of credit is for. The line of credits are made to get rid of cash flow sucking loans. And we're going to define cash flow sucking in just a little bit. But that's what they're made for. So at the end of the 20 months, as you're continuing to pay, right, the $959 each month, at the end of the 20 months, that $10,000 is replenished, and you're going to deploy it again, okay? So we're going to go ahead and deploy it again. In this timeline, you deployed it in May. The next time you'll deploy it is November 2026. Beautiful. November 2026, you will deploy the same $10,000 again, and that will bring you down to what? Right? Let's just say it's 28K. All right? I know it's going to be way lower because you're also paying each month, but let's just say it's 28K. All right? So now the 21% is eating off of the 28K. All right? Are you getting what we're laying down here? We want you to focus not so much on the interest rate. We want you to focus on chunking the principal. We want you to focus on getting rid of the principal. That's where we come in. That's where our control comes in. We don't want to pay by the bank's method anymore, because if we're continuing to pay by the bank's method, they're going to have us in a 10-year loan, $959 a month, going to someone else versus us. Now, when I say cash flow sucking, this is what I mean, okay? As we continue here. How to determine which loans to pay off first. You always want to pay off the most cash flow sucking loans. And this is the formula on how to determine that most cash flow sucking loan, okay? Loan balance divided by the minimum monthly payment equals your cash flow indicator number, all right? Your cash flow indicator number is going to indicate to you which loans are the most cash flow sucking. So from 0 to 100, okay, we're going to draw this line. If you have any loans between 0 to 50, those are the danger zone loans, and you get rid of those quickly. Now, the closest one, if you have multiple loans, the closest one to 0, right, when you put it through the cash flow indicator calculator, that's the one that is the priority for you paying off. Now, the closer it gets to 100, you don't really have to pay those off. And as a matter of fact, if it's from 51 to 99, we call that the caution zone, meaning you can actually ask for a lower interest rate, you can restructure the loan, you can actually refinance, all those other things when it's in the caution zone. But when it's in the danger zone, we advise you to go ahead and get rid of those. As a matter of fact, if you place this inside of this cash flow indicator, you're most likely going to get a cash flow sucking loan between 0 to 50. Now, I didn't do the calculation on it, all right? So, but I can almost guarantee you it's going to be cash flow sucking, because are you getting, relative to what the balance is, are you paying appropriately in cash flow? Is it sucking the cash flow? How do you determine that? Cash flow indicator method. All right. So let's go ahead and get back to our example here. We are at the 28K mark. Remember, it's all about making sure that time and balance is used here and kept in mind. And we also need to explain to you this. Many of you have been like, wait a minute, CJ, that's not much better. The 20% on the line of credit side, I mean, that's almost the same as the 21%. Why did you do that? Because simple interest is calculated so much differently than amortized interest. I think that's why it's called simple interest, because it's much more simple. And it's not as cash flow sucking as this side. And by the way, if you look at the loans are all in what? They're one way. Whereas lines of credit are what? Revolving. They are bidirectional, meaning you can pay, borrow, pay, borrow, pay, borrow. That's why we need to use this 10K. Maybe you only have 5K. That's good. That's why we need to use the 5K to chunk the loan as much as possible. Why? Because each day, each week, each month that goes by and it's still at that bigger number is each day, each week, each month that interest is flowing out of your pocket. We want that back to you as soon as possible. Now, if you kept this up, you would realize that you would be out of this loan in about 4 years. And the total interest that you would spend doing it the velocity banking way on this loan, this gargantuan 21% loan, is $18,038. I don't think you want to know what you would spend on the life of this loan. You want to see it? Of course, the 10 years, you'd be out of it, but you'd also be out of this. 10 years. Brace yourself. Brace yourself. Total interest spent $67,160. So tell me again about double debts. News flash. Lines of credit are not debts. What debt do you know of that you can pay and borrow and pay and borrow? Only the line of credit. Lines of credit are not debt. All right? Let me go ahead and get out of your way here, since you know how to deploy correctly any amount. Please don't get hung up on the numbers. Get hung up on the principle. Oh man, that's good. Don't get hung up on the numbers. Get hung up on the principle of velocity banking. The principle is take care of this principal balance as soon as you can and run all of those loans through the cash flow indicator so you know which one to take care of first, okay? Absolutely. Listen, folks, please give me your problems so that I can solve them, okay? We want you to do a lot with a little. That's called leverage. And that's what it's all about. God bless you, and we'll see you in another video.